Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to Walk-Ins. Welcome. It's a Wednesday, so we're dropping new content. Michael, what's going on, man? How are you?
Man, I am just glad school is back. I don't even have a kid in school just yet, but I feel like things are kind of getting back in a normal motion right now, which is really nice.
Right.
So I'm excited for that. Also, I'm excited for weather to cool off. We're here in Birmingham, and it's still 90, 95, whatever, hot. But I'm excited. Probably next 3 weeks, we'll see some temperatures drop. May go camping soon enough.
Oh, you got to let me know about that.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready to go camping when somebody asked me the other day, because I have a tent on the back of my truck. I have to drive around because I don't have space in my house to store it. Fun. But they were asking, when are you going camping again? It's like, well, I need to drop like a good 10 degrees.
I don't do extreme cold weather camping, and I don't do summer camping. Those two are just out for me.
It's almost like a motorcycle.
Yeah.
It has to be
Pretty
perfect.
much. It's seasonal, right?
Seasonal, perfect weather. I'd rather it not rain. I've camped in rain quite a bit over time.
Come to think of it, I think I've camped more in rain than not in rain. Which, it's not like I've camped a ton. I did a lot when I was in the Boy Scouts growing up.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that has nothing to do about this episode today. Today's episode is actually about retargeting. Because we actually get a lot of questions about retargeting, and then Nick had mentioned earlier, he's like, I don't think we've ever spent time on retargeting.
Well, one of our 4 tenets here is we want you to get repeat visits.
Yeah,
right. So retargeting is a piece of that.
It is, and it's something that people may have misconceptions on. We were meeting with a potential client just the other day about retargeting and geofencing and all the things that go around with that. By the way, people love geofencing. We don't necessarily love it, but people love talking about it.
I don't dislike it. It's whenever it's brought up as I want to do this one thing in marketing.
Yeah,
and I'm going. It's like the last thing you do in marketing.
It's not a miracle worker. Some people kind of think it's magic, kind of like OTT. It's not all miracle. It's cool. Checks off the cool box, but it doesn't necessarily check off the conversion box every single time. I think people miss that. But no. So let's talk retargeting. So what is the If somebody's going to talk to us right now, what is the definition you would give to retargeting?
It is commuting. It is,
sort of.
It is communicating digitally with somebody who's interacted with your brand but didn't take action.
Yeah, and
that's the way I think of it.
Yeah. So basically, it is the opportunity that someone has taken. They've interacted with you. You say I interact with brand. What does that mean? They went to your website, maybe went to your Facebook page. They interacted with something that you have some control over, that you have influence on, that you post to or whatever. But they didn't do anything with it. They just visited, because by the end of the day, we always talk about conversions, and conversions is not a click. It's they did something.
Right. And
so now, the nice thing is they've been exposed. They've seen your brand. They kind of know who you are, kind of not, kind of do. And this is where retargeting steps in. We're like, hey, let's remind you who we are. Oh, by the way, we think you might like this. Right. And then go on from that. And then retargeting is one of those interesting things that we don't see necessarily always great, massive conversions off of, but it actually kind of raises the tide, I would say.
I like to call it the cherry on top, if you will. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that just makes a campaign, like you've made the milkshake, you've put the whipped cream on there. It's the cherry on top. It is, it's the thing that just puts a little pizzazz in it.
And honestly, that's how we structure our strategy with most of our clients, where that retargeting piece is kind of the last piece of the puzzle that we go after, because you got to build up a lot more things before retargeting starts to make sense. Right. I mean, a lot of the platforms don't even let you retarget until you've hit a certain threshold of interactions. It's just the name of the game.
Yeah, step one is just build your audience.
Yep.
Right. And well, first of all, let's talk retargeting platforms. Okay, so YouTube is a great retargeting platform. Facebook, Instagram, probably ideally the best retargeting platform.
At least the most used, for sure.
AdSense through Google.
Yep.
That's going to be a display network retargeting.
Yep.
And then TikTok has audience building and retargeting, but it's new and fresh, and it's still going through the process.
TikTok
becoming the right platform for that.
It's really interesting about TikTok. I saw a video last night about how content creators are once again getting frustrated with the platform. So they're getting frustrated with TikTok because they're not paying out like YouTube did. And then if you know, and I agree with the guy. I get more now of TikTok shopping ad videos, which is just Yes, I'd like to have that Vivor retractable hose thing reel for $80.
I want the same thing.
Yeah, all right.
Are we in the same feed?
We're getting close.
I know what you're talking about.
We're a male.
So ugly on a house though. If you like, there's like 8 people in my neighborhood who have that.
Oh, do they?
It looks so bad, but I still want it.
I kind of want one. I'm kind of like either or. But it's funny. I actually like the Vivor brand, by the way, because like they're the Amazon of Harbor Freight. It's just real funny what they sell. But anyway, but like, yeah, so I get hit up a lot on that platform with that. And then, but he was talking about how it's like TikTok was awesome 2 years ago and became less awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I disagreed. He said a lot of people are going back to YouTube. It's like, I don't think they really are going back. I think you're just getting new flavors of things because some of your kings of YouTube have left.
They have.
And like, that's been a big deal. Like in the car world, Donut Media has fallen apart. And like they were one of the biggest car channels on YouTube, and it was the classic corporate bought it, corporate put numbers to things, and then the creatives said, "I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore." So the whole industry is just shifting. It doesn't know who it wants to be, except for Mr. Beast. He's just everywhere that seems to make money. So,
I was gonna say funny. I got to meet the guy who helped Mr. Beast develop out his channel when I was in Cancun last. So,
oh yeah, that's right.
I talked about that.
Yeah.
All right. So, retargeting. All right. You can do this. You can do this without violating HIPAA.
Yep.
Because personal information isn't being disclosed to you when you do this. There's some do's and some don'ts. Okay. So let's start with Facebook.
Yeah.
Or Meta. Because Facebook has.
I was going to say it's Meta, which has Facebook and Instagram and all the stuff.
Yeah, when you hear me say Facebook advertising, Facebook owns WhatsApp, and they own Instagram, and they own Oculus, and they own, of course, Facebook, Instagram.
And they might as well.
And they made a parent company called Meta.
Yeah, and they might as well own Ray-Ban.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because like
the glasses.
Because they integrate with the glasses, which is cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. With that though, so when you hear me say Facebook advertising, just think all of those. Oh, Messenger, like Messenger's huge too.
Yeah.
But just think of those platforms. So one of the things that they used to call a pixel, which they don't call it that anymore, it's called a data set.
Ultimately a pixel.
Yeah, it is a pixel, and it still installs exactly like a pixel. And when you go to the data set to install it, it's called a pixel.
Yep.
They just did a Google there, and they just changed everything except the name of it, right? or changed nothing about it except the name of it.
Yeah, and then just made that one extra layer to get to.
What you're going to do is in your ad platform, through the data set, you're going to grab a pixel and you're going to put it on your website. I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible.
I mean, it's very straightforward. You literally... Yeah. Like, honestly, it's more complicated to get the pixel from Facebook than it is to put it on your website.
Right? You're not even lying. And they keep moving where to find it.
Well, and ultimately, that pixel has a lot of power because it has a lot of data tied to it. And to the point, like, if we took over a Facebook ads account, we really want your Facebook pixel. Yeah. Because there's data inside of that we can't just, like, make up.
And that's, like, the fortune, the gold mining is in that data.
Yeah.
So, so placing that pixel on your website, here's the thought process of it. Somebody goes to your website. Let's just call it, for this episode, we're going to call it michaelsurgentcare.com. So we've pixeled.
That's available.
If so, you should grab it. So Michael has michaelsurgentcare.com. We put a Facebook pixel on your website. Somebody gets the sniffles and you're closed. So it's after hours or before hours or whatever.
Yep.
They go to your website. All of them are. It's 2 a.m. We'll just call it 2 a.m.
Yeah. And
they go to your website and the pixel is on the website. It notices that you, from your IP address, from your phone, your laptop, or whatever, excuse me, records that you went to that website, and you bounce from that website. You couldn't take action, or maybe you chose not to hop on the solve scheduler or whatever.
We grabbed some info.
We got some info. We didn't,
but the pixel did.
Michael didn't.
Nope.
Facebook did.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, side note. Even though you have your pixel, it's kind of like the phone number thing episode we did. You don't really own any of that data per se. Facebook has control of that.
Yeah. Me as the advertiser, I can't pull Michael out of a subset of data. Nope. I can't pull you out. I can only indicate that this person went to my website, and now I can send messages to you, messages in the form of advertisements to you by running a retargeting ad campaign on Facebook. Yep. So when you wake up in the morning, and you scroll to your Facebook feed, and last night at 2 a.m. when you felt bad, you still feel bad, but you did a search and you went to like 13 different urgent cares that were closed at 2 a.m.
Yep.
And when you wake up in the morning and you go to Facebook, the first ad you see, because I retargeted, hey, do you still need urgent care services? Now, that's not the ad I would write. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But they went there and they saw you. Then they saw you again the next morning and they're going, oh, what just happened here? And yes, I do, by the way. They talked to me. I'm going to click and schedule there.
Yep.
That's a retarget.
That's like the rudimentary, straight to the point retargeting, just to kind of give you guys the idea around it. But ultimately, what it's doing, though, is that there's been some engagement, and we're putting out those reminders. Sometimes, I'll be honest, while retargeting for a lot of people it seems annoying. Like, I don't want to get, why do I keep getting this ad? I don't mind retargeting because I'm being retargeted by the brands I like. And I want to see more of it. Like, I love when Harbor Freight has a sponsored ad that pops up because I go to that site more often than I should.
I'm a gamer.
Yeah.
I think you know that. Now, I'm not the gamer that sits in my basement and plays for 8 hours at home.
Right.
I like to catch about 30 minutes of video games.
You're a casual gamer.
And I get it every couple of days.
Yeah.
Well, there's a game I want, right? But I don't buy games at full price. I either want it on like the PlayStation Network Pass or Xbox Game Pass or whatever, or at a deep discount. So when I go and visit the game page and then I get retargeted, I don't know, 6 weeks later, because they're advertising to me properly through retargeting, and it goes on sale, that's when I'm going to buy. Now, that has nothing to do with urgent care. But the point I'm trying to make is that's a great example of you bringing up Northern Tool, me bringing up games. Another fascinating way that I like to use pixels, we harp all the time. Well, I say all the time. We harp a lot about, creating video.
Yeah.
Create video for your urgent care.
And that's something worth noting in the world of Facebook and TikTok and whatever. Video is the power.
Right.
YouTube, all the things. At the end of the day, every time we run ads, a decent video outperforms an amazing photo.
And it's significant.
Yeah, it's not even close.
And when we say decent, like a cell phone video with a couple of chops in there with iMovie and a voiceover,
or not, or just
right,
or you're just doing a selfie talk and you're talking for 30 seconds or whatever. Like it doesn't take much, and it's and at the end of the day, because I don't have the equipment. Yeah, you do. Your phone is the equipment. You don't. The phones are so good now. Like you don't. We were chatting with somebody yesterday. He's like, I got a $6,000 camera. That's a 6K camera upstairs that I don't ever use. I said, well, we don't need it. Because he even said it was a couple years old. It's like, honestly, this iPhone's probably pretty close.
I heard you say that, and I was like, that's going to hit his ego. I know him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, oh.
But it's true, though.
It's true.
Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's cool to have nice equipment. Like, we're benefits of better equipment right now with this podcast. But it's... for ads and things like that, you don't need big production. So we're telling the guy yesterday, you don't need big production. You need like honest production.
Right.
Like this is real. This isn't just made up stuff that's way over the top. There was one urgent care we talked to where they were super proud that they did an IMAX commercial. Like they use IMAX equipment. I'm like, why?
How much did that cost you?
Yeah, I mean, those cameras are incredibly expensive to rent or do whatever. Like, why did you spend $2 million on a commercial production? And I've never seen the commercial personally, and I'm pretty sure I should have by now.
Right.
And that was like a year and a half ago. So it's just amazing sometimes. I like to remove the barriers of saying, don't say, I don't have good equipment, I don't have time, blah, blah. It's not that big of a deal. Right. We're big fans here of CapCut. CapCut's the Canva of video editing, and it's gotten pretty easy.
Yeah, I need to go in there and play with it. I've got a lot of iMovie. Because of just being a Mac user.
Yeah. But
CapCut, if it's anything like Canva, it's probably pretty glorious.
I mean, I hope Canva has some investments with CapCut because CapCut ripped them off.
It probably is their video version of it.
Yeah.
But going into video, one of the reasons that you want to produce video from a retargeting perspective is because Meta allows you to retarget based on the amount of time viewed on a video, either in percentage or amount of time.
Yep.
Here's what I mean. Let's just say that you use, and forgive me if I'm talking way above anybody's skill set level. I apologize. It's just there is some complication to it. But there's a thing called cost per thousand. It's called CPM.
Yep.
And you can get that really cheap if you run a reach or a reel ad on Facebook, right? Reach. So I'm going to put this in front of as many eyeballs in my territory as humanly possible. And it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap. I'm talking about like cents on a dollar, cheap in comparison to conversions, right? So we run this and we put it in front of thousands and thousands of eyeballs, a video, right? Now, what retargeting is going to allow you to do is to segment that audience down to people who are actually interested in you. Here's how you know. Let's just say that you have a 30-second video. Well, I want to retarget to everybody that watched at least 75% of that video. So 22, 23 seconds of that video.
Yeah.
That's probably a good indicator that if they stopped in their scroll, paid attention to the video for most of the video, that they're probably an ideal patient for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Or they like who you are and they are entertained by it or educated by it.
Exactly. I love all of it, entertain and educate, right?
Yep.
But there's twofold to this, in my opinion. When you buy that cost per thousand eyeballs or CPM, when you get massive amounts of eyeballs, that's branding, cheap branding. And then you get the conversion aspect with the retargeting.
Yep.
So now I'm getting all of this eyeballs on my brand of people who don't need me today. And then I can target at a much more granular, deep focus, laser focus really level to people who are engaged with my brand immediately.
Yeah.
Right. And that is that 1-2 punch, right? That's that Mike Tyson uppercut, right? But it's funny in my world, in marketing, it's funny. I'll click on a website or something like that. And all of a sudden, that same guy that I was watching, he'll come bouncing across the screen. Hey, I saw you looking at my ad earlier.
Yeah.
He was retargeting me.
Yep.
Right.
And ultimately, because I know a lot of people, that seems gimmicky. How does that work? It does. Like, it's not rocket science type stuff. Like, at the end of the day, there's some rule of thumbs out there, but basically when you have like 7-8 exposures to a brand, you're going to remember it, and B, you may end up engaging with it. Because we even know from like a pure B2B standpoint, it takes 7 to 14 touches for somebody to respond.
Right.
And that's not too far from the retail space, because at the end of the day, like, rarely do you think about the brands you love and think about how many times did you have to interact with that brand to fall in love with it. It's very rare you fall in love with a brand the first time around because you just don't know anything about it.
Right.
But then it grows on you and you see other aspects of it. That's another thing, telling aspects. Like, don't be afraid to talk about other parts of your business, not just one focus on one thing, because people are going to say, I've already seen this before. Give me something new.
Right.
Because people want new. In the world of social ads and stuff, we have to have new, like every 2 weeks almost. Like, it's a thing. Like, it's pretty rare. Like, occasionally we'll have an ad that just rocks it that we can hang out on for a while. But it's time we get less than a month, and then we got to start changing things up again just to get people to talk.
One of my original mentors, Billy Jean,
Billy, I wonder how he's doing now.
He's doing good. He's all in on AI, but he's doing good. He just donated. This has nothing to do with this podcast. He just donated $1 million to Boys and Girls Club in San Diego. Wrote him a check. I just love that for him.
Yeah.
You know, one, I really appreciate him anyway, because I'm in business because of him, or partly because of him. Anyway, he taught me what I know. How about that?
There you go.
But he had an ad that he ran back when The Wolf of Wall Street came out. He called himself the Wolf of Marketing. Anyway, that was what, 01, 2000, something like that, when that ad came out.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was one of the best performing ads he ever had, and he's re-released that ad, and he doesn't even sell what that ad talks about anymore.
That's funny.
But he's running the ad because it's such a popular ad for him, and it was so catchy, and it had it had like 200 million views.
Wow.
That was an absurd amount of views, all right? So when it works, it works. You want that, right? All right, so let's kick over for a second to Google.
Yeah.
So, all right, Google search. If you're an urgent care clinic, a patient care clinic of any type, you know Google is like your lifeblood, right?
Yeah. For good or bad, it is.
It is.
Like, at the end of the day, whether you think that you have an amazing location or not, if you're not located well in Google, it doesn't matter.
As much as people like to hate on Google, they've built so many businesses because of the platform that
they have. I mean, we see it all the time. Like, I like touting ourselves occasionally, but I love seeing, we had a client that he started with 11 patients per day. He just sent us a text yesterday at 33 patients per day.
Can I get a knuckle bump on that?
I know,
because
right?
that's so good.
Yeah, that's like one of those.
I didn't get that story.
Yeah,
I'm hearing that in real time.
check the channel.
Okay.
It's our favorite, right?
Okay.
So, but no, I think because we saw the report was 33.8 ppm patients per.
I'm jockeying to get him on the podcast if that's who we're talking about.
Yeah, it is. And anyway, but guess what? We just run ads for him.
Yeah.
Like that's all we ran Google ads for him. And that's how much of an impact Google ads can make. And it wasn't even like a big budget number.
Right.
You're talking total investment under $5,000 a month. Like not a whole lot going on there in terms of overall budget. And so, but he's going from basically 300 patients a month to 900 patients a month, which is
significant.
Huge.
And really more than anything, he already had a budget in place on Google. We just fixed it.
And we fixed it. And like we have a whole thing. Spill out, by the way, we have a DIY kit on all this stuff. We even have free Google Ads audits for you guys if you're ever curious about that. But that was the conversation. Let's audit your ads for you, no charge. Just let's take a look. And we're like, oh, we can fix this. And he's like, you sure? Like, trust us. We even started a whole new account for him because like we need clean data.
So I got this. It's funny that you say that because we basically took his cost per conversion from $60 per conversion down to 10.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the point I'm trying to make there is that if you go into Canva right now, you'll see a picture of Snoop Dogg high smoking a joint. And I'm writing an ad. I'm working on an ad that says your conversion rate shouldn't be this high. Working on it.
Now, is he in his Olympic garb?
I should grab that picture. No, he's just smashed right there. Like
I have to give it like
baked, I guess would be the right word.
Whoever came up with the idea of Snoop Dogg being that represented America in the Olympics was a genius.
Oh, it's perfect.
He was I mean, and then they brought on Martha Stewart for a day, and they were just having a good time. But like Snoop Dogg was like, he's what we want everybody to think of the Olympics, like just like having a good time, being patriotic. You know, just it was good. It was great.
I have to admit, it was good. I didn't know how that would go, but
we're all like, this might be.
It kind of went as expected, though,
to a degree. But we all have like a love for Snoop Dogg.
That's right,
because he's just like the dad, but has like a really fun background.
What kills me is like this guy went on trial for murder.
Yeah,
like there was a time he wrote a song like "I'm innocent." Like, that's the name of his song, trying to convince the courts that he was innocent of murdering somebody.
Openly on drug stuff. Like it's just
it's like what is. That's kind of the most American thing ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to Google Ads and retargeting. Making sure like you have your Google Analytics built into your website.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is when you're running ads, just like a Facebook Meta Pixel, your analytics is going to be building data as well. You make sure that you have analytics.
I mean, think about anything, please. Analytics is free.
Yeah.
GA4 is the short term for it. Google Analytics 4, it's the 4th version of it. It takes no time to set up and install. And even if you don't know what you're looking at, do it.
Because if you need help, call us. We'll help you.
Yeah, I'm happy to get on a call with you and say, all right, open up this, click that, copy this, paste here, done. It's really that fast. But even if you don't know what you're looking at, put it in there. You're collecting first party data. Because it's your data you're picking up on of what's happening at your site, and then you can hand that off to Google as like an opportunity for conversion.
Right. Well, as Google is doing this, it's also building out data sets. Like Google knows more about me than probably I know about me.
Yeah, it's
right
from everything. Like because at the end of the day, your browsing history tells who you are.
That's right. And so understanding that Google knows more about you than you do. Really, as you go and visit a website, it knows that you like tattoos, hang out at the sports bar, you got 3 kids. Like it knows this stuff about you based on your search intents, right? And the other websites that you visit with Google Analytics on it, right? It knows your IP address. Your IP address is your digital identity.
Yeah, which is a side note. You had mentioned at the very beginning, putting a pixel doesn't violate HIPAA and all this stuff. So just a reminder, the PHI and HIPAA regulations, pixels, Google Analytics, none of that, I'll put this in air quotes, none of that should be violating HIPAA unless there is personal information being inputted somewhere on your site. So when I say on your site, so michaelsurgicare.com, as long as you don't have a form on there that says, give me your check-in information or your, like, what's wrong with you, what's your symptoms, as long as it's not physically embedded on that site, you're fine. But the second you're like, I'm going to put this pixel on online booking software to ask a bunch of questions. There's a line you got to be careful with. And then lots of lawsuits come from, oh, I put that on my patient portal. No, don't put that on your patient portal. It needs to live on your main website and not anywhere else, because ultimately there's PHI stuff on there that you don't want to have those platforms have access to. Creates a big mess.
I'll add a disclaimer on this. Marketing should be used, in my opinion, to create a great experience with your brand and for people to want to do business with you because of the way you present yourself to them.
Yeah.
Not for you to leverage unhelpful practices in marketing.
Yeah,
we're not going to do that. We don't want you to do that. That's not what we're saying.
We're not here to data mine your patients.
That's right. What I am saying, though, is it's like you said, first party data. Their intent was to come to you. And so for you to reach back out to them on other medium platforms, that's not unethical. So if somebody visits your website and that ad tracker tracks, then you can set up another campaign in your Google Ads account that is a display network.
Yep.
And so my favorite website to go visit is either CNET or GameStop, right? Or any aviation website.
I'm about to say, I feel like you've probably migrated from CNET toward aviation.
There's not really good aviation websites, if I'm being honest. Maybe flying.com. But anyway,
maybe we should make
don't get me started on that.
an aggregator.
I'm an entrepreneur. I will be a problem. Anyway,
any aviation people out there, give us a 5 stars.
That's right. So if somebody goes to our website and again don't take action, then I can follow them over to cnetaviation.com or flying.com or
anywhere that runs an ad.
Anywhere that has AdSense is what it's called. It's Google's property where they run AdSense on these websites. Then you're probably going to get a display. Hey, book your urgent care visit.
Yep, we've done that, seen success from it.
That's right.
And like we had mentioned on the other platform, it's weirdly cheap.
Right.
On retargeting. Pennies on the dollar, and Google as well.
Yeah.
Like when we run a display campaign, we may be throwing $10, $15 a day at it because it just doesn't need a whole bunch.
Right.
Especially urgent care because it's tight, like it's tight radiuses.
All right. So what's the thought process behind retargeting other than all the things that we've laid out there anyway? All right. So you're paying to get in front of people.
Yep.
Do you want to get in front of them one time, or do you want to get in front of them 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times?
Yeah. And to break the thought is you're not annoying.
Right.
A lot of people think, I don't want to be annoying. Who cares?
I'd argue be annoying.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people have.
Be annoying.
Because now, granted, we don't do email newsletters for our clients. We do it for ourselves. But the number one question, how often should I email? I want to make them mad. Like, you keep sending until you start to get replies if it's making them mad.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
And it needs to be more than one reply. That one person that is pissed off is not only
they're mad at everybody.
They're mad at everybody.
They're mad at you got their email address. Yep. Speaking of that, I even had an urgent care that I talked to at a UCA event, and they fired back to me, please take me off your email list. And I said, hey, we actually met. This isn't this isn't like an automation list thing. And she came back. She said, I'm sorry, I do remember you. And it was like an auto response that she had just built in her head over, like, take me off your list, take me off your list. But actually, she was just doing it because she wasn't thinking about it.
That's right.
So
that's funny.
But it's true.
Well, my argument is be annoying. And again, additional thought process on this. Most people who say they don't want to see ads or they don't want to be tracked are the same ones who don't want to pay for those platforms that they're saying they don't want to be tracked.
Or they want to, or the ones that comment how annoyed they are on the ad, and now you've just been retargeted.
They do that to themselves. But listen, when I go on Facebook, I want to be advertised to by the things that I'm interested in. So if I were on mine and I got like a woman's custom bra fitting company or some kind of weird soap for women, or, like, I don't want that. So that's not interesting to me. So when you go to television, how many times, really think about this, how many times on a television show or a radio program or something like that where you're absolutely not interested in the least in whatever's being advertised, you're not the target.
Yeah, for TV, only thing they can target is the channel.
That's it.
And so if it's HGTV, every single ad's going to be around home renovation, home improvement. Like, there's going to be a
Lowe's and Home Depot, every commercial.
Yeah, Lowe's and Home Depot, or a prescription medical ad because they think you're probably older.
They're going to be out in the yard dancing.
Yeah, I don't have joint pain anymore.
Or Johnny Depp on a perfume commercial.
There you go,
can't
exactly.
Smell over
But
there.
I will say it's always I've because we're in the digital streaming age. Like I don't have cable or anything, so the occasion like if I go see my dad and he has cable, I'm like, wow, I don't recognize any of these commercials.
Oh, yeah,
Especially when you turn on like a Nickelodeon or something. I'm like, wow, these kid commercials are real intense. I would hate this as a parent.
I've seen a few. They're all the kids are on YouTube now, though. That's another story.
Yeah.
Great place to advertise, though, if you need to. Look, I mean, we're running up on time right now. I just want to tell you that, like, retargeting people, putting ads in front of them, if they engaged with you, the expectation at this point is they're going to be re-engaged.
Yep.
Like, that's just the expectation at this point. You're not being annoying. I know if I don't want to see something again, don't click on the freaking ad.
Yeah.
Because if I click on it, I'm going to be retargeted. I already know it. I
I've
already
been
know
thrown
it.
in another list.
Yeah, I already know it. And I'd even tell you, like, don't put your name, email, phone number into something that you don't actually want. If you want it, do it.
Yeah.
They're going to retarget you. They're going to send you information. So do it for the things that you want. If you're just curious about it, man, do a Google search on it or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and a side note too, because one of the challenges that we do run into from time to time is like on Facebook ads, when we have form fills and stuff like that, it auto completes because it's based on the information that was probably set by you at some point.
Right.
And a lot of people, I didn't put my info. I was like, yeah, you did. You just totally forgot. So that's another thing too for those out there. If you don't want to be interacted with or contacted, quit putting your stuff in all these places when you sign up for something. You signed up and gave away something at some point because your information is what's paying for all this.
You could create a custom email like I did.
Yeah, and we don't want to say that email.
Look, it really wasn't meant the way y'all had told me. I was like, that's not what it was supposed to be. Anyway, that would be a fun email. Just create a junk email that you can put that in there if you don't want to get all their
Don't
stuff.
let Addie tell you what the official name would be.
And with that, we're going to close. Go to Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, hey, listen, we want you to check us out on Facebook. We have a group there called Walk-ins Welcome. It's a resource area for our
Starting to grow too,
It is starting to grow,
which is cool.
Yep. Comment, questions. We're there to be a resource for you, just like this podcast. We're there to be a resource. We can answer one-on-one with you there. And leave us a review. We would value that greatly. Leave us a review wherever you listen to this podcast, and if you're on YouTube watching, because our YouTube viewership is going up, and I'm excited about that.
And we're about to run some YouTube ads. So
Heck yeah.
we
So-
apologize for the retargeting you're about to get. Not really. But
But subscribe to the channel.
yeah.
So we would love to have that.
and
as
then
well.
something exciting that we have that we're actually seeing people utilize now. We just put it out maybe a week or,
the digital health center.
a week or two ago. We actually had two right out of the gate. We had two urgent cares from Oklahoma hit it up, which was funny to us because they're 5 minutes from each other. We thought they were the same thing, but they were actually competitors. But we have something called a digital health check. Now, we're noodling over that name. We may change it up, but what is it? If you go to patientcaremicropros.com, it's the first big button that you see. You click on that. It's dead simple to use. Name and business name, phone number, and email. And we're not here to blow you up. Like you hit that submit button, it will do it live in time with you. So you'll watch
Yeah,
it.
you won't even get an email unless you want it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I have mixed feelings about that piece, but because I want to just send it to him as well. But anyway, it takes 60, 90 seconds and it pulls live data on your brand and tells you where the holes are. We love it. Like
And how to fix them.
and how to fix them. And then we also get the report. And if we see like, man, we could probably really help these guys, we'll reach out. But we also have a DIY resource kit. Honestly, if you get a report, you're like, that's pretty bad. Go click on our DIY resource kit, get that thing as well. And honestly, it could actually fix a lot of the things if you spent time with it. So,
There you have it. We'll
Yep.
link probably all of this stuff down in the show notes.
Yep.
So go down there and have a look at it. But until then, y'all go out, have a great week, crush it. What you do matters. We'll see you next Wednesday.
see ya.